Today we're going to continue 7.1. We're in part 3 of this section. Well, it's taking me a lot longer than I thought. But I wanted to make it even longer. I wanted to talk about problem 55 again. That's the problem with a ton of variables, right? And by the time you solve it, you feel like you just plowed, I don't know, a few acres of field by hand or something. Not that I've ever done such a thing. But anyway, so to make it worse, by the time we're finally done, we notice that the answer at the back of the book is wrong. Okay, now and here, this is the answer I gave. These things can turn around. Well, if we keep the denominator as AE minus BD, okay, this is the format. But if you flip it around, both top and bottom is still correct, because that's just like slapping a negative sign on top and bottom. Anyway, so to prove that my answer is correct, this is what I did. Okay, first I have this typed out on the calculator. Okay, this is a very powerful calculator that does advanced math, and as a result is able to handle all the variables. No, most calculators can't do this. Okay, so to solve this equation, as it says here, it equals to AE minus BD on the bottom. The top is CE minus BF. See, CE minus BF. Whereas this has CE minus BF on top, but it switched the bottom around, which is not acceptable, because that's the same as putting on the negative sign. And similarly, my answer, as you can see, the calculator's answer is BD minus AE. Okay, and let me move over. Here's the book's answer that I copy and pasted right there. And see, as you can see, y equals to, let me move that up a little maybe. Well, anyway, so y equal to it says AF, the denominator is the same as this one, but the numerator is flipped around again. Right? Which means there's a negative sign there, and that is not acceptable. Basically, the book gave the negative answers, and negative answers are not acceptable because when you have, these are two lines, and when they intersect, they only have one answer. The negative answer is out there, and nobody cares about it. Okay, and for one thing, it's wrong. And it doesn't have two answers. So this is my proof to you that I was right, and the book is indeed wrong, because, well, the Wolfram Alpha calculator says so, and this thing is super awesome. Okay, but however, you might say, well, what if the calculator is wrong? They've been known to be wrong before, right? And I have yet another way of show you why this answer, the book answer here, is wrong and my answer is right. And here's how I can do it. Okay, and so the final thing is I use the simple calculator here. Actually, I think I use this one too. But anyway, I use a calculator to solve this equation where we let A equals to 1. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, okay? D is 4, and D is 4, E is 5, and F is 6. We'll just substitute some numbers, see which answer works out, right? I mean that is this. To show which formula works, there's a very simple way of doing this. So there is what it has. Now the result the calculator says is that x equal to minus 1 and y equal to 2. So the answer is x equal to minus 1, x equal to minus 1, and y equals to 2. Negative 1 and y equal to 2. Now that we can confirm. If now pretending a is 1, b is 2, etc. That means x plus 2y. What's x plus 2y? Minus 1 plus 4, right? That is positive 3. That's correct. Next, minus 1, let's say this d is 4. 4 times minus 1 is minus 4. 5 times 2 is 10. Minus 4 plus 10 is 6. So this is the correct answer, right? And so knowing that, let's plug let's figure out what this is. What does this say? This is, the book answer says CE 3 times 5, okay, that's 15, minus BF 2 times 6 is 2 times 6 is 12, okay? And then BD, that's 2 times 4 is 8, minus AE, that's 5. And what is that? That is, that's 3, okay? This is 3, and that's also 3. So this is positive 1, right? This part is positive 1. And we don't even need to do this part to know, well, see? I told you the book is wrong, and it's wrong because it switched this around. So there's it has an extra negative sign in there that made the negative 1 into positive 1, and that's the wrong answer. Now here's my answer. Let's check my answer. It's the same thing here. Okay, the bottom is the top is again CE minus BF, so it's 15 minus 12 is 3. The question is, what is the bottom? The bottom is flipped around. And instead of BD minus AE, I have AE minus BD, which is 5 minus 8, okay? Because we just calculate this is BD, and that's AE, 5 minus 8, which is equal to minus 1, okay? So that is correct. Now, so let's continue and check this too. And then the bottom one, AE minus BD, is the same. So this is minus 3 down here, okay? It's the same as 5 minus 8. What is AF minus CD? So A times F is 6, minus C times D is 12, okay? Now, let's see. Okay, so that is negative 6 divided minus 3. So the y value is going to be positive 2. See, it checks out. The y does equal to positive 2. So that is how I can prove conclusively to you, okay, regardless of what the calculator says, what anybody says, that the book answer is definitely wrong. And, and my answer is correct. Of course, my answer is also what the calculator says, and we know the calculator is very, very smart. Okay, I will show you the calculator again, but I don't normally recommend that you use the Wolfram Alpha calculator because it's not easy to use most of the time. It's not that user-friendly or pampering, whereas many other calculators like from Symbol Lab or Desmos, Desmos has its own, can do calculations too, even though it's a graphics calculator. It's mostly for graphing, but it can do just numbers. So any of those are much easier to use. But for this one, I had to use the Wolfram Alpha calculator because that way I want to type in every single symbol, okay, this is the only calculator that is programmed to do that because it originally come from Mathematica. Well, anyways, and it's also free, but yeah, and there are complications in using this calculator. So so most of the time you don't need it. In fact, even in calculus, when I was teaching calculus 1, 2, and 3, I used this sometimes, but most of the time I'm able to use the Symbol Lab calculator for various things, whatever it might be. And this thing will, if you type in the wrong thing in here, it will simply tell you, I don't know what you're talking about. And then you crash on your face and don't know what to do. Anyway, so but anyway, so I want to be very clear on why this problem, why I'm so positive that the book answer is wrong. Most of the time, the book answer is correct, especially in a class like algebra, where the problems are usually fairly short, so it's unlikely for the book to get it wrong. But this time, I don't know what they did, really. It happened, right? And so the book made a mistake, which makes me look better that I make mistakes all the time. So I'm glad to see other mathematicians also messing up. Misery loves company. And another thing I forgot to mention is that in this problem, if you go back to look at the problem itself, it says something like this, that it says something about A is not equal to B, okay? And something about A is not B and AE is not BD. At the time, you're probably wondering why. The reason AE cannot be BD is because our answer is in that form where if AE equals to BD, then this is dividing by 0, and that is not acceptable. And And A not equal to B is probably the same reason, and we're not even going to worry about that. Okay, and what will happen if A equal to B? Who knows? Let's not think any harder. We already spent way too much time on this problem, just because the answer is wrong. But A not equal to BD is, I should mention that condition is required, because our answer has to divide by A. If we equal to BD, we're dividing by 0, and then then we have done it all for nothing. So that is that's that. So let me erase the board. Next, I want to talk about problem 69. The reason is because the last time I already went through problem 69, but I was tired and I wanted to get through to the end of this stuff, so I was hurrying along and I feel like I didn't explain how the problem was set up. Okay, the calculations, once it's set up, the calculations is as I explained in the previous video, but I want to explain exactly how I started it. So what happens is a scientist makes a 10% saline solution with 60% saline solution, okay, and so on. Now, what does that mean? The way we understand it in math is that a 10% saline solution is a solution that has the 10% of it is salt. See, so in other words, if you have say you have a 10, so the total salt content is calculated as like this. How much salt do we have? Is what we're total salt. Okay, total salt content is the scientist makes the 10% solution. How much salt is in the 10% solution? That depends on how many gallons he's mixing, right? 10%, which is 0.1, right? And then times, let's say he makes X gallons. So times X. So there are X gallons of 10% solution. So 10% of which is salt. So if you have 0.1, that would be the total amount of salt from the 10% solution. Okay, from the 10%. And then next what happens is that the next solution he used is let's see, 60% saline solution. So then the next one he used is the 0.6 times however many gallons. We don't know how many gallons, but X and Y are the gallons. And when you take 0.6 multiplied by the gallon, that's the salt. That's the amount of salt in it. We are calculating, so the salt is at 60% of the gallon. In other words, if you have 10 gallons of this stuff, right, then 6 gallons of that will be salt. See, 0.6 times 10. Similarly, if you use 5 gallons of this stuff, 10% salt, then you said there will be 0.5 gallons of salt in there. So right now, to doing this, I'm counting the total amount of salt that is in the problem. And this is a very standard problem, okay? And it's a problem that I think, well, I don't know if you use it in chemistry where they do this kind of thing. Maybe, but for now, we definitely need to, know this. So so what happens when we did this? Then we got a total of 25 gallons of 40% solution. So 25 times 0.4 is the total. You end up with 25 gallons, and we're 0.4, not 4%. Did it say 40% maybe? Yeah, 40% of salt. 40% is 0.4. So 0.4 times 25. That's the total salt. Okay, so that is where this equation come from. And say, well, okay, that's fine. What's the next equation? The next equation will simply be the total amount of gallons. Okay, this is total gallons. Total gallons. The total gallons of stuff, liquid, forget the salt for the moment, because we already took care of the salt business. Total gallons, the scientist originally had X gallons, and then he or she added Y gallons to it, right? So the total number of gallons is 25. So now you have two separate equations that are not the same thing, and that end up should give you the right answer of what's going on here. All right, so the next step is to solve this equation, which I did in the previous video, but I just want to give a better explanation than the hurried job I did last time, just because I was tired and can barely think straight. Next time when I'm tired, I'll stop making the video and start when I'm not tired again. Okay, there is no hurry. We're doing this for fun, and let's not, get greedy and get carried away. I'm talking about me here. Anyway, so that is how I got these two equations out. And to solve it, of course, you isolate x or y, doesn't matter which one. Plug the y to the other side, plug it in here, and so on, and crank the whole thing out. So that's problem 69. So next, let's do problem 71. There's an investor, okay, and who invested 71. All right, invested money in two ways. Okay, so the first, and for the total amount of money. So let's say she invested money in X and Y amounts. Okay, in two different investments, and the total becomes 1.1 million. Okay, we'll just keep stuff at millions. All right, that way we don't have to write so many zeros. Okay, so on the first investment, her return was 110% increase on the money she invested. So after she was done, so the X got turned into 1.1x. Okay, that is pretty good. And then the second one, she earned 50% over, which means, so the second one is 1.5x. Okay, and then the total is then her first investment, okay, 1.1, that means principal and interest together is 1.1. Similarly, principal and interest end up being 1.5 time and a half of the original, and the total is that she earned $1 million in profits. Okay, so she started investing 1.1, right, and then she made $1 million in profits. So that should be the equation. All right. So the question is, what is x and what is y? Okay. Let's see how that comes out. Let's so this hopefully will that will be equal to, of course, 2.1. 2.1. So that is this is a similar kind of a solving problem as this. You have x plus y equal to something, and then some decimal point of x and y equal to something else, and then let's solve this thing. So I will do that. Okay, this whole thing. So then from this equation we get, we'll isolate x. No reason. I'll just do that. 1.1 point, let's not forget the point, minus y. Okay, and plug it in here. We get that should be y. Why do I have x here? Okay, that's the second investment, which gave 50% of his, which is a huge gain. Okay, so anyway, so we have this, and let's plug it in here and do the math. 1.1. I need to hold my marker just right. Okay, 1.1 times 1.1 minus y, okay, plus 1.5 y is equal to 2.1. All right, so then from that we can isolate y. Y will be equal to, let's see, there's the 2.1, okay, and then here's the number 1.1 times 1.1, which becomes a minus when we throw it to the other side of the equation, squared. Okay, and that is about it. Divided by what's in front of y. This is negative 1.1 minus 1.1, and then plus 1.5. And so if I didn't mess up anywhere in here, forget a negative sign or something, whatever, then that should be the correct answer. So I'm going to punch it in, and let's see if we got it right. Yeah. Anyway, so parentheses, anytime you do division with a plus or minus sign inside, you absolutely must type in parentheses. Otherwise, the calculator will spit out garbage at you. Okay, like this. Parentheses, please. Do not forget parentheses. So having done that, let's try again. Okay, so parentheses 2.1 minus, okay, 1.1 times 1.1 or raised to the power 2. I'll just do it this way. Divided by parentheses, negative sign, 1.1 plus 1.5, close parentheses. That should be equal to something. That equals to, y equals to, I don't like the look of this. Let me check. Now, I looked it up and I made a mistake here. When it says 101% increase, it doesn't mean it became 110% increase. It doesn't mean it became 110%. It means, for example, 100% increase in this case actually means it got doubled. So 110% increase is not 1.1, it's 2.1. Otherwise, this is not adding up enough. And I knew it too. It was looking weird to me. Okay, so it's actually 2.1, okay, plus this is equal to that. So I have to change some of these numbers, okay? This is not 1.1, it's 2.1. In other words, the her first investment like more than doubled her investment is what it is. That's how she's able to make $1 million out of 1.1 million. She made a whole $1 million. I was like, that is not quite enough. Okay, well, I should have noticed that sooner, for that matter. But anyway, this is 2.1 that equals to this. And so the second one is earn 50% over. That should be clear. But yeah, the first one actually means is she made a 1.1 million. So I mean, she made over 100% increase. So it's the original, which is 1 plus 1.1. Okay, that's why it's 2.1 total. Maybe I should write that down. So the actual percentage, the way it's worded, yeah, I didn't think of that, but it's 1 plus 0.1. 1.1, sorry. Let's see, 1 plus 1.1, okay, and which means the total is 2.1. So that's what the 110% increase means. Okay, so that is 2.1, which means 2.1 is minus. Let's see. So this one means we have this one, okay, minus 2.1 times 1.1. That's what that is. So this is not squared. This is 2.1 times 1.1. 2.1. And divided by this thing. Yeah. Let me check a little more. Right. One more thing that needs to be changed right here. This is 2.1. Let's see, 2.1, okay, 2. That's a one ugly 2, but it works. All right, so that is where my mistake is. That the 110% increase means the profit is actually more than the original investment. So let's try this again. See if I got it right this time. Okay, so y equals to 2.1 minus 1.1 times 2.1, okay, close parentheses, and then divided by negative 2.1 plus 1.5. Okay, let's see if this comes up with anything that makes sense. Okay, let me check. Well, it is correct, okay? I finally got the right answer. That is always good. Y equals to 0.35, $0.35 million, okay? We're talking about millions here. And so therefore, x equals to 1.1 minus y, okay? Minus y, that would be equal to 0.75. That you can also do in your head, I guess. Maybe I should have done that. $0.75 million, and that's the right answer for problem 69. Let's see, did I write it down? Yeah. So y is 0.75. Well, once we got the x, the y comes out much easier. Next, let's look at problem 77. So we have a standard problem, okay? We have 4 kids and 2 adults, where is 169.70. So let's say X is for kids, Y is for adults. So first, yeah, 4 kids, 2 adults. So 4 times kids plus 2 times adults, that equal to something, 116.9. All right, and then 6 kids, and then 3 adults is some other number, 175 point something, 35. Now at this point, as what you need to do is look at this. See, there's this number right here, 4 and 2, and that is if you take 4 if you divide it out, that this is the same as this simplified. 4 divided by 2 is 2, okay? And that is the slope of this equation. That is where you get rid of the number in front of y, so there's just 1 left. So the slope is m. I mean, this is, it might not be a slope, it might be negative slope, but that's the idea. The point is, the ratio of these 2 numbers is 4 over 2 is 2 up here, okay? And the ratio of these 2 numbers are the same. 6 over 3 is also 2. See, 6 over 3. In other words, these 2 lines are parallel. They have the same slope, and this m number here. As a result, that means, in other words, if we simplify this, the first equation, we get 2x plus y equal to something, right? That number divided by 2. I'll write it down. 0.9 divided by 2. And if we simplify this equation, dividing everything by 3, the common factor, we also get 3x, we get 2x plus y. We get 2x plus y equal to something, okay? There is the 175 divided by 3. 175.35 divided by 3. Now these 2 equations are, well, so there's no difference here, which means we can't solve this thing, okay? In other words, we can figure out what 2x plus y is equal. Now these 2 numbers had better be the same, and if you use the calculator, you will find out that they are. These are actually the same. So we only have 1 equation, and there's not enough information that to know what the prices are. So that's why the answer of the book says we need more information. And well, yeah. Anyway, so it's a bit of a trick question. Okay. All right, and that's why it says that, because basically what it is these 2 are the same line. Okay, if you were to graph these 2 equations, they end up one on top of each other, so you don't know, there's nothing to intersect. We need 2 different lines that intersect to find the solution. So that is that. And then finally, I have made up a problem for this section for you. Okay, I call it my fun problem. It's a problem I did when I was a kid. Okay, a challenge problem for before algebra. With algebra, this problem is a whole lot easier. And my fun problem is called the chicken and rabbits in the same cage problem. Now let's see, if you have a cage, right, and you have a bunch of chickens and rabbits in the same cage, so then of course I'll draw it right here. Right, here's my cage, and I have chickens and rabbits in there. Now the chicken has a head and then 2 legs. Right, here's my chicken, various chickens, head and 2 legs. I'll draw his head. It doesn't look like a chicken head, but anyway, these are my chickens. The rabbits, on the other hand, has a head and 4 legs. Right, so my rabbits have head and 4 legs. Okay, so there's my cage, and I somehow I can only count heads and legs for some reason. So what I figured is that a cage holds both chickens and rabbits. Okay, I count 16 heads and 50 legs total. Got it? So how many chickens and rabbits are there? Okay, you can make up your own chicken and rabbit problem and question people. It's very, very funny, I think. Okay, so and we can you can do this without algebra, but it's quite a bit harder to think of. With algebra, it's much easier. okay? Because the question is there's total of 16 heads. So let's say we have X number of chickens, okay? X for chicken and Y number of rabbits. The total number would be 16 heads. So it would be 16. Next, we have legs. Okay, each chicken has 2 legs. So we have the chickens have 2x number of legs, right? And then the rabbits, of course, have 4 legs, 4y. So then the total number of legs is 50. Okay, and then so that makes a fairly simple problem to do when you know the systems of equations. Yeah, so anyway, but this is a challenge problem for people who hasn't had any algebra. Okay, they don't know anything about x. You're just supposed to do this without x. Well, try to do that and see how far that get you. But with this, we can just simply get this out. I made this up, okay? And so let's do this problem that I made up. Now, here's our problem. We'll simplify this thing as x plus 2y equal to 25, okay? And then we'll add this equation with that equation by slapping a negative sign here. We'll put a negative sign across the board. And so x plus minus x is gone. 2 minus 1 is just y, okay? And then 25 plus 16 is, wait, did I mess up? Let me, it's correct, never mind. 25, what did I say? There's a minus sign here, okay? The minus sign is written in the wrong spot. Let me fix it, because that makes it too many lines. Okay, minus 16. So 25 minus 16, that's 9. So then if y equals to 9, then x plus y was 16. So then x is equal to 7, right? 9 plus 7 is 16, and that should be the right answer. Now, okay, so if then 2 times, and we can double check and say if x plus y is 16, we have 6. So x is chicken, right? And y is the rabbit. So chicken is 7 plus 9, that's 16 heads. What about the legs? The legs say 2 times 7 is 14, plus 4 times 9 is 36. 14 plus 36 is 50. 50 legs, just like I said. All right, so that marks the end of this section.